Hello learners, and welcome to today's lesson of linear graphs, determining intercept, gradient, and the equation of a linear graph. So we are going to be focusing on the practice and application questions today. Let's get to it. So when we are looking at the first question here, we are going to be determining what the y-intercept of the following linear graphs is. So let's look at them. Now, when we are thinking of the standard form of a linear graph, it is mx, y is equals to mx plus c, where we know that c is in place of the y-intercept. So what is the y-intercept in this first equation? Y is equals to 2x minus 1. Yes, you are correct if you are thinking of minus 1. Then we have another one, which is y is equals to a negative x plus 3. Now, remember, there are two ways of finding the y-intercept. You can either see it from the equation, which is the standard form, or you can use the fact that we know that with the y-intercept, x is equals to 0. So we can use this to find the y-intercept. Let's use it with our second equation there. So we have there y is equals to negative x plus 3. So because we already know that x is equals to 0, that means we are going to say there a negative 0 plus 3. That is, of course, our y is equals to 3. And that's another way of finding the y-intercept. Let's look at the last equation there. And what is our y-intercept there? Of course, we just look in the place of c from our standard form, and that will give us the value of 1. So that means that the y-intercept there is a 1. Let's look at the next question. So the next question here says, calculate the x-intercept of the following linear graphs. Now remember, the x-intercept, we know that y is equals to 0. So all the points that are on the x-axis, we know that y is equals to 0. So even when calculating the x-intercept, we know that y is equals to 0. So let's calculate. Now, when y is equals to 0, we are left with a negative of 5x plus 10 for this first equation of y is equals to negative 5x plus 10. So we've substituted 0 in the place of y. Now we need to get to the x. So we need to solve for that x. Firstly, we are going to use the additive inverse of a positive 10. And that, of course, is a negative 10. So we are going to subtract 10 both sides. And we are going to be left with a negative 5x, and 0 minus 10 leaves us with a negative 10. Now we are going to use the multiplicative inverse of a negative 5, and that is a negative 1/5, which is the same as dividing by that negative 5. And of course, we are going to do this both sides, which leaves us with x is equals to a positive 2, because negative 10 divided by negative 5 leaves us with a positive 2. So that positive 2 is the x-intercept of that equation. The next equation that we have there is y is equals to 1/2 x minus 4. So let's calculate the x-intercept there. Remember, with the x-intercept, y is equals to 0. So let us substitute 0 in the place of y, and we are left with 1/2 x minus 4. So we are going to use the multiplicative inverse of a negative 4, and that is going to be a positive 4. So we are going to apply this both sides so that our equation can be balanced. So we are left with 1/2 x, and 0 plus 4 is a 4. So now for that half, we are going to apply the multiplicative inverse. Multiplicative inverse of 1/2 is 2. So we are going to now multiply both sides by 2. And when we multiply by 2, 1/2 multiplied by 2 leaves us with 1, which means we are left with just the 1x. And when we say 4 multiplied by 2 on this side, we are left with an 8. So the x-intercept of this graph is going to be 8. Let's move on to the next question. The next one here says, if points D, which is 4 and 2, and E, which is -5 and -4, are joined to form a line, calculate the gradient of that line. So we are going to calculate the gradient of this line. So if we remember, the gradient is now the vertical change divided by the horizontal change. So we are looking at our 2 points, point D and point E. So we are going to start, you can start with either point when you're starting with the vertical change. So I can start with point E. So I'm going to say there my -4, and we are going to minus that 2. Now, because I started with point E for the vertical change, I need to again start with point E for the horizontal change. So that is going to be the -5 minus the 4. So what is -4 minus 2? That is going to give us a -6. And what is -5 minus a 4? That is going to give us a -9. Now, a negative divided by a negative is a positive, but when we simplify that further, then we get a positive 2/3. And that, of course, is the gradient for those 2 points. Let's look at the next question, where we are going to be finding the equation of a linear graph. So it says there, find the equation for the line. And we can see that we have been given there a linear graph that has 2 points, point A and point B on it. Now, remember, for us to find an equation, we need the gradient and the intercept. Now, from this linear graph, we can already see what the y-intercept is. We need a gradient and the y-intercept, specifically the y-intercept. And we can already see what the y-intercept is there. It is a positive 3. So that means that when it comes to our standard form equation, we already know that our C is our 3. So now what we need to calculate is the gradient. And as soon as we find the gradient, then we know that we have a complete equation. So let's now find the gradient of this line so that we can complete our equation there. So remember, the gradient is calculating using the vertical change divided by the horizontal change. So we're going to start with point A there. And the vertical change there is represented by the y values. So we are going to say there 3 minus, and we're going to take the y value from point B, which is a -5. And we are going to divide this by 0 minus a -4. So our gradient is going to be, what is 3 minus a -5? That is going to be a positive 8. And then what is 0 minus a -4? That is going to be a positive 4. And what is 8/4? Or what is 8 divided by 4? That is going to be a 2. Now that's the gradient that we need to go now and complete our equation. So y is equals to 2, which is the gradient that we just calculated, 2x plus 3. And remember that plus 3 comes from the y-intercept. As we can see, our linear graph is intersecting our y-axis at the value of y is equals to 3. And that is the equation of that line. Let's quickly go to an ad break, and then we'll see you just now.